recording.
And we're live! This is the Scary Walls podcast. I'm Nigel, that's Matt, and down there is Jakaya. We're a podcast. The point of this whole thing is that we're going to get a couple people from a few different backgrounds. We've known each other for quite a while, though, but we have generally different political discussions. Matt, repping the old Trump sign. Me, more of a libertarian kind of
it's still back there, isn't it?
It totally is. I dig it. That's the kind of energy we want here. And then I got Jakaya, who is definitely the more liberal of the group. And the whole purpose of this entire thing is that we can have discussion about various different topics affecting America or just social things, and get different viewpoints and see how we can kind of rationalize all of our positions and figure out what we all think, figure out if we can change their minds, figure out if it's even worthwhile to do so.
Or if we can find out we're really not friends at all.
Yeah, maybe at the end of this whole thing, we'll just state it. What's funny is I did this. I wanted to get this with you guys because I thought we had a unique opportunity like this, but there is actually a channel that I really respect, and it's PSA Sitch and Adam Friended, and they have a show together called PSA Sitch and Adam, where they do something rather similar like what we do. And Adam, for a long time, had a friend of his because he's from California. He grew up a super duper liberal. And then as he got older, he started reading things like Guns, Germs, and Steel, The Narrow Road, really a lot of things from Jonathan Haidt. He just realized that a lot of his sort of liberal ideologies just weren't enough and that he was really in a bubble. And he started changing his mind on a lot of things. And he had a friend that he'd had for like 20 years. And this friend essentially was like, okay, red pill me. Let's red pill me, and I'll be receptive to this and stuff. Later, it came out that what he was really trying to do was make his own documentary about trying to secretly blue pill Adam. So he never told Adam this, and eventually it actually blew up. I don't know if those two guys are still friends, but Adam got furious because his friend essentially called him a Nazi pipeline guy, and Adam was like, "Fuck you." Like, fuck you, man. Yeah. And the friend had no idea why Adam was so upset. But because, I mean, like, Adam was furious. He was like, fuck you.
Well, them's his fighting words.
Like, you're a fucking piece of shit. He's like, I didn't think you'd be so mad. He's like, you fucking called me a Nazi. Yeah, I'll be fucking mad. Like, you're a fucking asshole. You know?
Yeah, it tends to happen.
So, hopefully it doesn't happen here. Because I don't think anyone's going to call each other Nazis or anything like that. But, how's everyone doing, by the way? Matt got himself a new laptop. I'm working like a dog.
I got a new hardware update and I smashed my foot. But other than that, I'm here. I'm good. I am good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nothing's really changed in my life. I'm working first shift this weekend. And Pride, actually, working first shift on Sunday is nice because I might actually get to go to the Pride Festival down in Covington.
Very cool. You aren't going to go into, like, Cincinnati? Isn't that the better Pride?
I think theirs was last week, to be honest. Although, if I'm going to be honest with you, after going to Columbus's Pride, none of the ones down here are that exciting. So Covington's will just be easier because it's 2 minutes from my house.
So now you get to have an actual live working first shift, and that's always a good thing.
Only today, tomorrow, and Sunday. I'm back to second shift after that. I'm just running another manager's store while he's on vacation.
Dana was talking about second shift jobs, and I said, yeah, second shift is the just enough time to do nothing shift. And she kind of did. She never done second shift, so I had to explain to her. I says, well, you go in late in the afternoon, so you get to sleep in, and then you come home, and you just about can't do shit.
I wish I could call it late in the afternoon, but I work 10-hour shifts, so I work 1 in the morning until 11 at night. Or 1 in the afternoon until 11 at night, I mean.
Still just enough time to do not a fucking thing.
Yep, it's terrible. I would rather work first or even third. Like, I think second is the worst.
Yeah,
especially considering
is like AIDS. It's just AIDS.
Well, especially considering everyone I know works first shift. So, like, by the time I go into work, they're all like, I'm coming home. And by the time I get home, they're like, well, I'm going to bed for work tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, so I'll just spend a lot of time by myself. Hence the dog that I had to get because well, hence the dog that I had to get because I was suffering from depression from being alone for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That happens, man. Well, good to hear you
100%.
get a little break.
So I guess we should also do this is something Jakaya, we never really brought you in on that because like the 2 streams where it was just me and Matt, we were also doing like what are we drinking today. Today I'm not having anything too fancy, just pretty much vodka, and I tried to make it with club soda and some pomegranate juice, and it's just vodka. It's fucking terrible. You're gonna see me cringe a lot during this.
You need to get yourself a good solid jig that just so that way you could just be consistent with your pours. But
I've
because
got like a shaker down there. It's just I'm
no, you
fucking
need a little
it's
jig.
trash.
It looks like a shot glass, but it measures an ounce to I think ounce and a half or two, and it's literally for mixing drinks. Because I can't. Because so I was just having rum and cokes, and that's usually my go-to. And so far there are two
That's such a
mixes of
sailor drink.
dude. There are two. I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's a rum and coke that I haven't had in a minute because one of the things to find is so fucking hard and it's so critical. It's polar cola or polar soda.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I remember seeing that in Virginia.
yeah, so you have to find the orange soda, but it's not orange soda. It's called orange dry. So it's orange soda. Yeah, it's not that sweet. It's not very citrusy. It's really strange. It's a good
Is it like a
orange.
bitter?
No, it's good. It's completely drinkable on its own. It's got its own sweetener to it. It's not as sweet as like orange soda, but it's still really good.
Fanta.
It's weird. It's
Don't
such a
you
weird
wanna?
fucking orange soda. But look for it, orange dry. Get a case of that.
Orange.
Yep. And then get the Kraken rum, because it's a spiced rum. Mix that shit
Yeah.
together. I've had I can't name how many people over that don't like rum, and I go here, just
Okay.
try this, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" I can't find orange dry. All they got is orange soda. So
That's what I'll do. I mean, I've got like this because I wanted to make martinis. Yeah, I wanted to make martinis.
oh right.
And so I bought like this bottle of vodka, but now I'm really over martinis, and now I've just got this fucking bottle of vodka.
Again,
What
So I'm
else
like,
can I-
Mom, I'm like, come here, like, get
So you're
over my
thinking-
fucking house.
So now you're thinking screwdrivers at best.
Maybe.
Again,
Yeah,
I drink
that's,
like a
That's what I should have done.
yeah. I unfortunately drink like a frat girl, and if I can taste the alcohol, it's too much for me, and I don't want it. I've got to be able to get
So I
drunk
said,
without
what
ever
are
knowing
you
I'm
having?
getting
'Cause
drunk. Oh, mine is literally
You
just
did take a drink.
a cherry Coke Zero.
Don't feel bad. I'm sobering up with a cup of coffee.
I listen, just to be excited
That
a little
sounds like
bit.
a sponsor right there.
This right here is one of the reasons that I have lost 100 pounds over the past year, being able to switch from like regular soda to like zero sodas and stuff like that. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of dieting involved too, but when I first cut out when I first cut out regular soda and went to zero soda, I probably dropped like 20 to 30 pounds in like a week or two. I'm talking,
Dude,
it fell off. It was ridiculous.
Sugar is the first thing that'll always help. That's what I've heard a lot of people say.
Well, especially
kill the
pop,
sugar.
like the amount of pop and sugar, like I can eat a whole fucking candy bar and just barely touch what's in a fucking can of soap or can of soda. It's insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, Screwing the Walls, sponsored by Diet Cherry Coke. Lose weight, lose it fast. Diet Cherry Coke. It's the cherriest of the colas. Anyway,
Coke, please have better
Hold it up.
invoices. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm an
Also,
agnostic kind of soda drinker. It's why I like Dr. Pepper, so I will not sponsor Coke too hard.
Listen,
I like
Oh, my
Dr. Pepper.
libertarian.
Listen,
Is it
Fuck.
Pepsi?
we
Is
can-
it Coke? We don't know.
listen.
It's agnostic.
we can talk about this all we want, but let me tell you that the zero Dr. Pepper is fire. That shit tastes just like Dr. Pepper, and I'm all about it.
Fucking love Dr.
Dude,
Pepper.
you're fucking up. You're fucking up our sponsor, Jakai.
Also, on that note, Dr. Pepper works really good with fucking rum. If you haven't done that shit, fucking try that shit.
Listen, no offense to Coke, but I'll take a Pepsi. I'll take a Pepsi sponsorship any day.
And also,
Okay, so Pepsi is the Democrat, is the drink of the Democrat, which makes sense because it's blue. What's the Republican? What's the Republican soda?
I mean,
I don't know,
just
Pepsi-
saying,
Coke
Coke
went
is
pretty
red.
woke, so-
I'm just saying, Coke did go woke though. He's not wrong.
they did. I was honestly thinking about certain companies like that. I have no fucking idea. I thought like Polar for one moment because you know why I think Polar, now that I sit there, is because like the Republican Party, they do nothing. So Polar did nothing. So
Fucked up.
and you really
Oh
don't
my
even know
God.
they exist. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about fucking Polar. Yeah, there's some Republicans out there that do shit.
What's
but-
the other one? Crown Royal. Crown Royal.
Oh man.
Crown Royal. It's been the same for like my entire fucking life. They've never changed.
We used to
anything
do
about Crown Royal.
mixed drinks of Crown Royal and Royal Crown, and we used to call it doing the Royal.
Wow.
Yeah, RC Cola,
good.
baby. Throw way back.
I'm gonna claim Fago for the Libertarian Party because that just feels right.
I mean,
don't even know who that
ICP,
is.
ICP, and all that. You know.
Fuck yeah, dude. I used to have just to show how white trash I grew up. There was a friend I had when I was like a little kid. I mean, this was before I failed eighth grade and kind of fell in with your crowd, Jake. But um, I lived down the street. Two of my best friends, Stephen Friend and Danny. I can't. Um, but they lived down the street from me, and we listened to so much ICP as like the fucking cringiest 11-year-olds like ever. We were so into that shit. I could not know a single ICP song now, but we listened to so much of it because it was all just like fucking rape and murder and horrible
Let me
shit. We just thought we were
listen.
the edgiest of fucking cool kids.
I have a worse admission. When we went down to South Carolina to visit Dane, I'm sorry, names, but we were listening to music just on his Google Home while we were playing like board games and playing D&D and stuff. We totally threw on some ICP just as a freaking throwback. Oh my god.
Oh
Oh my god.
God.
Oh my god. I mean, yeah, that'll be a good segue as well. What's the cringiest band that you still know like all the words to? I'll start. I can sing like to
Ooh.
a T, like 5 or 6 different Creed songs to this
Ah,
fucking
damn! I was
band.
gonna fucking use Creed. That's okay. If I use Alter Bridge, am I cheating? Because I also know
No,
Alter
it's
Bridge.
yeah. I mean, it's practically the same band, but it's still different. I mean, I don't think they all get the
100%
same
is the same
royalties.
Mine is ICP. There's a couple songs that I could probably still sing word for word, and I'm not proud of that. Especially like, so ICP have always been a cringy band, but I went to a Juggalo gathering once when I was in college. Let me tell
Oh
you,
my god.
no, because a friend of mine invited me, right? It was the worst thing I've
Mhm.
ever been to because the people were so
Worse.
fucking rude. It was disgusting. The music was obviously
That,
awful. Like,
that's the whole like culture is that we're the awfulest human being.
ugh, my God, it was terrible. I have never gone. Listen, I've been to a lot of concerts. I've never wanted to leave one more than then. Like, I would have rather stayed in the hurricane the year Katrina hit at fucking X Fest than I would go to
Oof.
another Juggalo gathering.
And we almost died. Yeah. Yeah, man. The makeup for X Fest was pretty sweet though.
Yeah, it was good. It was like stained.
Ooh,
It
Red,
was
yeah.
like red
The
or
Christian rock band Red
red.
they were really
Red
fucking
I
was
good.
dude,
great
Red was good.
live. Oh my
Red and
God.
Chevelle.
Yeah, Chevelle's
Yep.
really good. But yeah, that
Yep.
makeup concert was good. Stained were pretty decent live. I was impressed. I
Trapped also played, but forget Trapped. They were the headliner at the makeup concert, and they were
Yep,
fucking terrible.
they were
They were
terrible.
not good.
Awful. Well, that's like I remember when we saw Sick Puppies at X Fest. Like they had really good energy and they made for a fun concert, but their sound was awful. They just did not sound good.
Terrible. To this day, the best fusion of both of those was still Seether. Seether sounds so much better live than they do on their albums, and they
That
are
is so rare that you get bands like that.
dude.
Boy, when they do,
I was
they
blown
hit
away.
hard.
I didn't care about Seether. Like I was like, yeah,
I
knew a
don't.
couple
I
of
didn't either.
their songs and shit, but like I didn't care. But they went up and played, and I'm like, God damn! And I saw Sum 41 that night and Berlin that night.
I imagine Blink 182 would be good live.
What's the band with Jared Leto? 30 Seconds to Mars. I
Yep.
saw 30 Seconds to Mars last
No,
night.
Was
no
that
idea.
at X Fest or was that a different concert?
That was up in Chicago,
Oh, okay. Because I know
That was
Seether
when I
was
was
at
in
X Fest
Chicago.
one year.
and I got blue balled super hard.
Oof.
Really tilted the fuck out of it. But yeah, no, that was an amazing concert.
Okay.
It was so good.
I was
Anyway,
really.
so-
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead. Go ahead.
I
No,
was
no, no.
I was just going to add that like I was actually really impressed with a lot of bands because going to X Fest, it was an all day concert we would go to, and there were a
Yeah.
lot of bands that I was like, oh, okay, all right, like, damn, that shit's really good. Like, I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but like Christian rock bands were one of them. Like seeing Red, they were really impressive live. I was not ready for it.
To any Zoomer listening to this, for like the early through like the mid 2000s, there was just a plethora of like hardcore Christian bands that if you didn't see them on like TVU or something like that, which was just like a Christian band music video channel. If you didn't like realize they were a Christian rock, you'd never fucking know.
No, they were
Like
great.
Flyleaf was a Christian rock band.
Yep.
Flyleaf still plays. Um, the one that always blew me away was Demon Slayer. Like if you look up Demon Slayer, you're like, they're just like, like they're just like, tear down the temple and say no, you know, and you're just like Christian rock band. And then you like actually look up the lyrics, you're like, oh, they're talking about literally slaying demons.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're really good. Anne Berlin is a phenomenal band. Man, I never realized they were
Under Oath, or like a screamo band that was Christian. Skillet was like a regular rock band that was Christian.
Isn't Killswitch Engage still on that kind of?
I don't think they're Christian.
I don't think Killswitch Engage was ever a Christian rock band. I don't think they were.
But there's a lot of them. Like, man, Christian rock was fucking going hard when we were in high school. Oh my god.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Like, honestly, I think probably a lot of those bands, like I think Anne Berlin is probably a good example, but I think a lot of those bands were like, yeah, we're a Christian rock band to get on a fucking label. And then we're gonna do something completely fucking different in like 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a while there where there was like just a dearth of really awesome Christian rock bands.
Yeah, for sure.
That you were completely like, no, I'll totally play this song. Like, I don't give a fuck. And if anyone were like, is this a Christian rock band? You'd be like, yeah, they're fucking badass.
Deal with it.
Yeah. You show me a song better than this right now. Fuck off.
Red probably still stands as my favorite Christian rock band.
You know, I think it's Red that does one of my favorite covers, and it's if you haven't heard it, Ordinary World.
I'll check it out for sure.
Oh my god! So if you've ever heard of the game The Evil Within 2,
yeah,
it's a really good fucking game. So in the beginning of the opening scene of The Evil Within 2, they play Ordinary World, and that's kind of basis to the story of the game, which I thought was a great song, and I thought that was a really good rendition of what they had in the game. So I went looking for it, and I found out that Red did a cover that's fucking really close to the game, and they did just an amazing job on that song. There's the original that was actually sung by a woman, I guess, and it's fine, it's good. I didn't have anything against it, but the way Red did that shit was really fucking good. So I have it on Spotify saved, so it plays it again, and I fucking love it.
The one song, I think my favorite, they did "Breathe Into Me," and that song was
that's like their poster song, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a super solid song.
And like, just to, you know, even though I'm not Christian, just to give a shout out to like the Christian message behind it, it's about like the breath of God. Like, that's the point of the song.
Well, and actually the lead singer to Red is an EM, like he was a paramedic.
Yeah.
That was like his regular job for the longest time. And that was his whole thing. Like, if you watch the music video, the entire music video is about like a teenager who gets into a car accident and a paramedic has to go save him and then like perform CPR.
Super good.
Really good fucking tune.
Really good band overall. Big, you know what? Sponsor from Red. I'm just saying.
Yeah. If any of those guys, I mean, you guys aren't exactly doing a whole lot. If you guys want to come onto our podcast and tell crazy stories, feel free.
Oof, told them they weren't doing anything.
Man.
I knew you guys ain't doing shit in a while.
I
mean, if they want to come in and tell me I'm a piece of shit,
bring it on.
So I'm glad you guys got all your guilty pleasures out, because I took like 2 seconds and was like, nope. Because I went, let me see, what's the worst thing I listened to as growing up? I went, Limp Bizkit, oof. Kid Rock, oof. And then I went,
you know what? Kid Rock is so hit or miss, because Kid Rock will have like 50 god awful songs.
Yeah.
But then he'll make a fucking banger. You know?
You also, dude.
He's got a decent sound. He's just so goddamn cringy.
He really can be. He really can be. You know, like he really can be. But like, there's just something of it. He's charismatic enough in his good songs to where you're like,
I can see that. All right, so now that we've gone like 30 minutes off topic, how about we get into this video?
Love it. Oh, by the way, what are we talking?
So today, we're gonna go super topical. Essentially, we're just gonna try and play up the algorithm, even though we're like 2 weeks late on it. Fuck it. What do we care? What do we care? Who are we? But we're gonna go over. I thought this was somewhat appropriate for us because me and Matt if no one knew, we're both veterans. We were both in the Navy. We both served. I served on the USS Enterprise, USS Bush. Matt also served Enterprise, and what was the other boat you served on, Matt?
The James E. Williams.
James E. Williams. That's right. And so here recently, there's been a lot of controversy from the veteran community, as well as just the general public about the recent Army recruiting ads, because like ads most of the time don't really care. Like people don't really care about it a whole lot. Where ads really come into play a lot is it's a snapshot 2-minute representation of your country's military. And instead of it being more like a, hey, do you people want to come and join our army, stuff like that, it ends up being like, look at how badass our army is and project that out into the world. And the current army ads did some, what some would consider maybe a little bit cringy stuff here recently.
Is this their promotional video that they put out?
Yes, this is the promotional video that it's their recruiting. It's the Army's recruiting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sorry. Yeah, recruiting. Yeah.
They called it the calling, appropriately enough. And some of them are good. There's like 5, I think, in total. 2 of them are pretty decent.
I say there's only one good, and
whatever.
I've seen this before. This will be good. This will be good.
Yeah. We're not watching all of them because we'll have deadlines today. And really what the big thing a lot of people were talking about is the difference between our 2 largest competitors on the world stage, China and Russia, versus the USA, and what are they doing. And so I kind of have this moved a little bit more specifically. So we'll watch the United States one first, and then we'll go through and comment. We'll pause it like a normal video, comment on it in various different points and places, and then we'll go and we'll watch the China one and the Russia one, and we'll kind of see how we feel about it, and probably get into what I would like to talk about as a discussion on, do we feel that these are solid advertisements? Which do we feel came out best? And what do we think the messaging will represent behind these things? So there you go. Anyone have anything to say before I get the video started?
I say we get rolling.
Good luck.
All right, so we're going to start with the USA one, the calling. I will say one thing about this video that we're watching this over. They did pick the worst one. They did pick like the cringiest one out of them all. But they're all the same design, the same layout, and pretty much the same message if we're being completely. So here we go. So we have this fucking cartoon thing going on. I don't really know how I feel about it. It's like shitty Netflix anime.
Your nation's Patriot missile defense systems.
It feels really out of place for a military ad.
I would completely agree.
It begins in California with a little.
I'll just stop it again. Do you guys remember the super badass Marine one from like back in the 90s?
I think so.
Like the dude who like pulls a sword out of a fucking stone and like kills a bunch of shit with it and is standing on like top of this fucking mountain with that fucking sword in full Marine uniform. Like, didn't he like slay a fucking demon or some shit like that? Like, I remember that shit being.
I don't remember this at all.
I don't remember that one. The ones that I remember are all the ones that are like army strong, and it's always like you've got a dude in like a cool ass action shot, and then a dude with his family, or like a chick in a cool action shot, and then a chick with her family. Like those are the ones that I remember.
Yeah, we'll find that fucking Marine one because it's fucking hardcore.
Girl raised by 2 moms.
2 moms? Not in God's country.
Oh my God, you're the worst. Shut up and play the video.
Fucking Christ. Strike.
Fuck, I'll have to edit that out. Fuck!
Although I had a fairly typical childhood, took ballet, played violin, I also marched for
I'm sorry, two
equality.
moms isn't quite typical.
I like to think I've been defending
I don't know.
freedom
These days,
from
it's
an
not that
early age.
atypical.
Well, yeah.
Well, and I think I don't think they wanted to say it, but I think they kind of said in spite of having in spite of having two moms, I had a typical child.
Or maybe even separate from it. I had two moms. Period. I had a pretty typical childhood. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that they were trying to separate it.
Of course, I think didn't she also say she was from California or something like that? So
Yes.
maybe it wasn't that.
Fair.
When I was 6 years old, one of my moms had an accident that left her paralyzed. Doctors said
Aw.
she might never walk again. But she tapped into my family's pride to get back on her feet. Eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom.
You go,
With
girl.
such powerful
That's a
role
meaty
models,
fucking mom,
I
by the
finished
way.
high
That
school.
woman's built like a
Whoa.
brick fucking shithouse.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
why didn't she? Yeah, why didn't she join the army? She'd have kicked ass.
But they forgot to say that that really wasn't. Okay, it's a mom, but he's saying she's a mom.
Oh no.
Hey, honey.
Please.
Mama's
I think-
home.
Oh
Give
no.
me a
think-
big fucking kiss.
I think
Oh no.
I think she's probably a mom, but yeah, man, she should have joined the fucking army. She fucking strangled the shit out of me.
Oh my god.
Goddamn string bean over here. Kicks
You
my ass.
see-
And
remember,
she looks tall as shit too.
Yeah, right. So
Like-
again, so you know Gravity Falls. You remember the show? You remember Greta? Is it Greta? Or
Oh my
Brenda?
god.
Oh,
Brenda.
loser! And she like hits herself in the face with a fucking boulder.
Yeah.
That's her
Oh
grown
my
up.
god. Yeah, that's
Brenda.
her. That's her when she grew up, got a fucking like a degree in. What do you think this woman has a degree in? I'm gonna say IT. She lives in Silicon Valley. I'm gonna say she's in IT.
I say
she
most
makes
women have
damn good
college degrees in archaeology because women are really good at bringing up the fucking past.
Oh my god. You're the worst. You're the
That-
worst.
Matt saw this fucking video and was like, "There's gonna be a lot of females in here, and I've got a fucking notebook full of jokes that I am ready to rock and roll."
I was seething. I'm like, where do I begin?
Oh my god.
Nah,
I
these
hate
videos
you.
were just too.
You're
You're lucky
you
there isn't
literally-
a gay one, Jakaya. You're off this time. Just you wait.
First of all, this is a gay one. Just saying. That's literally what two women dating is. I'm just saying.
You
But
know, you say potato, I say potato.
oh no.
No, well, hey, actually, is that gay or homosexual? Because I mean, they're lesbians. I don't hear a lot of lesbians call themselves like,
She's-
"I'm a gay woman."
I don't
What's
know if the definition has changed in the last 5 or so years, but gay used to be inclusive of same-sex couples. However, that could be different now.
However, post 2016, it's fucking up in the air.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Jesus.
Oh, this
Christ.
video already is gonna get a like by me.
Feet.
Absolutely.
Eventually standing at the altar to marry my
I really like that perfect, like, everyone is included shot right there. Like, that's actually, like, beyond anything else, that's a really good shot, framed incredibly
Look,
well.
I
I'm
think
not being.
this video, like Matt's take on this is just shows how different we are. Because Matt is like, haha, look at how thick she is, and like my first thought was, oh my god, what a cute wedding.
Look, so I got a second take to this now that I look at it. Right.
Oh no.
Hey,
I'm not.
hey,
Full disclosure, I'm not being racist. Okay. That's not
Oh my
the
God.
issue.
So first of all,
Here we go.
hold on, before you go. When you preface
That's-
something with "I'm not
yeah.
racist," it means you're about to be racist. Like
mean,
flat
yeah.
out, that's what it means.
I
doesn't-
mean, I
doesn't-
get it. I
and
get
at
it.
that point, doesn't matter if you're like, I think interracial couples are the most beautiful thing in the world. When you preface it with, I'm not trying to be racist,
You're a racist.
you make the next thing immediately
Look,
racist. It
just
doesn't
wonder
matter
who
what
the
you
fuck
say.
is. I just been curious who's the black couple in the background of this
They're
wedding.
friends.
It's supposed to be fit. How do you know that?
What?
See,
Who
again,
else
and then-
would it
and then-
be?
And then I found it funny because I was like, oh, this is a nice couple, probably worked, or maybe she went to college with them or something like that. And I was
Right.
like, what's this one random schmuck doing here?
Do you know?
What, the
See,
dude
like,
on the
fuck is-
left?
They,
Oh yeah.
they didn't even animate him well. Look at his fucking eyeballs. It's just two dots.
They did such a good job at trying to include the world of ethnicity in this video. This is why I kind of picked at the black couple, because there's also the Asian old lady. It's like this lady got married at an embassy of the
Oh, I didn't
United
even see
Nations,
it.
and there's literally fucking everybody there.
I thought she looked
I
like
didn't
an
even
old
see
white
it.
lady.
You know that Justice of Peace is Polish, right?
Yeah, she looks what?
I don't know.
Justice Polish?
Or not,
She
sorry,
looks fucking Hispanic. What are you talking about? If
she might
anything,
be.
Jesus.
I feel like we're picking
Anyway.
apart this shot a little too much.
I just a little bit. Again, I just can't get over how
I know
this
you
guy
guys
is
are
just
really
like
insensitive
not
about this wedding.
animated at all. Anyway,
My other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class.
seriously, did they hire
and
Netflix to do
attended
this?
UC Davis, where I joined a sorority full of other strong women.
Oh, she does have black friends.
But as graduation approached,
Of course she does. She's in
I began
college.
feeling like I'd been handed so much in life, a sorority girl stereotype. Sure, I'd spent my life around inspiring women, but what had I really achieved on my own? One of my sorority sisters.
How did
was
that
studying
brick
abroad in
shit
Italy.
mom get
Another
second
was
place
climbing
to
Mount
her
Everest.
fucking rail thin
I
other
needed my
mom?
own adventures.
She ran like a fucking champ.
And after meeting with an army recruiter,
Get out
I
of here.
found it. A way to prove
I'd picture
my
her
ambition.
running like in Happy Gilmore,
What
the
the fuck
big
is
guy
this?
who got shot in the head with a
Why is
nail.
this in the middle of this video?
I don't know. Probably pause it to try to get rid of it though, so we can finish the
I
video.
knew I-
What the fuck is this? Get this shit out of here. Oh, it's just the end card. You guys put an end card like a fucking almost a minute before your video ends? Fuck all.
was Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
What
Okay.
calls you?
So how do we feel about that one?
I mean, like, it was a cute video that feels like it doesn't belong as an army ad, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I guess you could kind of give them the most favorable take and go, they're trying to like expand and go, hey, you know, it's not just guys who want to go do infantry shit all the fucking time. Like, we do have other people. But I mean, that just felt so like, it felt so intentionally like, hey guys, the army's intersectional too. We can do this. It's okay. Don't worry. Like, you guys can join too.
I mean,
You
I think
wanna
that's
cut?
the point. Like, we can't hear you. You're muted, Matt.
There we go. Okay, because it plays off my computer. I didn't want the echo. Sorry. So and
Gotcha.
that whole concept of playing into the we're open, be it regardless of what you're, you know. So this is obviously catering to a little more of the gay community. Like, hey, you can be gay and you can join the army. No big deal. And that's fine, but that's misleading and that's dangerous. Because, see, I feel that the idea of joining the military is, and they had the message in there, is to have some level of strength, some determination, some strong will, right? And I only say this because when I spent some time on the James Z. Williams, and I won't name drop because it was terrible, but there was a girl that she was young. I think she just hit right out of high school. She was 18, and she was in deck department. And I was just getting out, so I was well seasoned up, and I was kind of helping her through the hoops and bounds. And she was tiny. She was like, Jesus Christmas. She was like Kiki's size, man. I don't know, like what, 4, 5 something. She was tiny. And we used to make the jokes because the 5-inch can of soda could just throw you down there wrapped in bubble wrap. You clean the 5-inch, no problem. But she just couldn't do anything, and it wasn't that she couldn't physically do it, because we could kind of understand. She just refused to try. It was just very strange. She was very misplaced there. And so after a while, I asked her, like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? You don't seem like you want to be here. And she said, well, I'm proving a point. I said, okay, well, we all kind of are, but what's your point? What are you trying to prove? Well, my parents said I couldn't do it. Okay, but are you doing this for you, or are you doing this to spite them? And eventually she kind of just hinted that she was doing it to spite them. Like, I can do this. Well, if you don't want to do it, if your head isn't there, you're in for a lot of trouble, especially, like, the Navy's super isolated. So I don't know what you expect, but you can't go in this with, like, oh, I'm going to prove them wrong. Like, this ain't fucking easy. Like, you have to have the right level of mentality. Long story short, when I left the James Z. Williams and went to a media command, I caught wind that ship had a bunch of trouble when they got deployed. That poor fucking girl committed suicide. You could not handle it.
Wow.
And that was
Yeah.
the end of that shit. And she was only fucking 18. And I you know, and it's really unfortunate. So it's like, again, you know, it wouldn't matter if you were gay or straight. I mean, Lord knows, I'm sure we've seen a few just in deployment on our own. But they can't post videos and say, hey, you could be whatever you want. Like, that, they stick with that message of being Army strong, guys, because that really is where you're getting the right people. Because people will draw to that. Like, yeah, I want to be that strong. I can do that. I can do this for myself. I can prove that point.
Well, and
That's
it's
just my
like,
take.
you know, and it's understand, especially if you're a female going into the military, you are entering into a hyper masculine space, no matter what you're trying to do. Like it is what it is. That's the job that is required.
Dana had it rough
It
as a gunner's mate. She was the only woman, and she caught her shit for it.
Absolutely. I mean, like you're gonna get two groups of individuals: people that want to fuck you, and people that look at you as though you're an absolute liability.
Right. And a lot of women
you know,
would bitch about that and say that that's sexist. And Dana does. She does say it was incredibly sexist. And she was right.
Well,
it was.
yeah,
But
to
she also
an
wears it with a
extent,
high
yeah.
badge of honor. Because she wears that very proudly because she's like, I did a rate that no other fucking, like, there was no. So there is a badge to
I can't think of
wear on
another
your own.
female gunner's mate that I've ever met.
Well, I mean,
So,
I think.
she takes it.
Well, yeah, like I think anyone can wear a badge, like have a badge of honor for shit that they've waded through, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the shit they should have to wade through.
Oh, absolutely not. It was absolutely, it was totally wrong. And she totally fought, to have these changes done. The problem is, with any job, really, when you have, the managers that are seniority, and you kind of just have to keep your head down and do your, do what you got to do and get through the thick of it. Unfortunately, this is where, again, it's kind of just the pipeline of the system. Everybody gets put through that shit. They shouldn't have to, but I mean, it's kind of part of life, isn't it? I mean,
I would actually
any
say
one of
I
us
wish-
has
not
gone through
necessarily.
shit.
Yeah, I would say that it's not necessarily that it's not you shouldn't have to. Like, it is not an easy job by
It's not.
any stretch of the word. It is a difficult job with lots of fucking challenges that have nothing to do with the individuals that are around.
I was more talking about the extra shit because she's a woman. I understand that there's
No,
shit
and
that you
there
go
was.
through in the military. Like, I know
Yep.
that, we've talked about how boot camp is literally designed to break you down so that they can mold you into what they need you to be. And, like, I think that those things are probably very important. I was obviously not in the military, so I cannot speak directly on it. But it makes
No,
sense.
but you're pretty close.
From an
No, you're right.
From an outsider's point of view, that makes sense. The shit that I'm saying you shouldn't have to wade through is things being extra hard or extra bullshit because you're a woman or because you're whatever.
And he's completely right. They totally did that too. I mean, again, we were on the same boat together, and there was a nickel for every time where like they would go shoot guns, and she had to do some shit work because she was a girl, and they would outright tell her. It's like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But she took
Yeah,
that.
I
as,
never,
like, that
I never
challenging-
saw that. I never once saw any of that in my time in the military. The number one thing that I saw in my time in the military was females that would attempt to get into the job that was incredibly physically demanding, and then they do it once, and then I do everything in their fucking power to never have to do it again.
Yeah.
That was my experience. I can only think of one female, Bixler, who she showed up like any of the dudes.
Yeah.
Like there was no issue. And Georgia, who was a CS. Like those were the only two females in my time in the military that showed up and really did work as hard as any of the males. And like a lot of times it was the kind of thing where it was like, no, I don't want this female on my crew. Why? She cannot help me with this job. No, I do not want that female holding the line while I dangle off the side of the fucking boat to paint the fucking side. Why? She's not going to hang on to that shit if I fall.
Accepting an inability in your size is one thing, but again, and I again, right? You have to. I guess you either see it in some departments or you don't.
Working in supply, I heard
Yeah.
from multiple females where I would sit there and be like, "Hey, we've got shit that have come down the L. We need to go get it." And I
And I'm
heard
not saying
multiple
women can't
females
be-
sitting there and going, "I don't do that," and I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
I- you know
don't
what?
do that. It's like,
Useless-
fuck you.
useless
You're useless
women-
to me. Fuck off.
Yeah, useless women are just as abundant as useless men. So, I mean, that's kind of anywhere you go. I think the hard part, and I think one of the interesting challenges, because Dana both complains about it, but she also tells other people like this was like, yeah, I did that shit, and I proved the system wrong, right? Was the whole getting the second hand of the discrimination, just being the only woman in a gunner's, the woman in a man's rate, right? Because you're a gunner's mate, you're shooting guns. What are you doing here? You know, that's kind of what that was. And the chief there was very old school. And in fact, I think she reported him up once for being a complete shithead, and rightly so. But you know, and that's again one of those things that you go through. But for Dana, one of the same point is like she didn't let that shit fucking stop her. She's like, no, I'm gonna keep doing this. So I mean,
Well,
good
and
on her. I have more respect for her than that.
I think
for
you
that.
pointed
Yeah.
that out with that girl that you talked about before. The unfortunate reality about the military, and the reason that I never went in, even though it was something that would have been good for my life, I think, as well, considering I didn't know what I wanted to do, is
Yeah.
you really have to have either the willpower or the like complete inability to do anything else to really push through the military. And I didn't think I had that. Like, I did not think I had it in me to push myself to just fucking do what has to be done. And that's
Sure.
why I never
Yeah.
wanted to join, because you have to. Like the military, like you
Yeah.
said, the military is a tough job, and I'll fight about sexism in the military all day long,
Hmm.
but I will not
Mhm.
fight that like determination is required, like because it is. It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, Dana obviously has some tales of sexism in the military, but for me, I never saw sexism in my time in the military
Sure.
that didn't essentially go more or less in favor of the females. If I'm being completely honest.
No, and I have too.
Now,
I've seen that women
now
got
I
yeah.
I have seen women that came into the military and did not understand what the culture was, and the culture is really it's like I said, it is hyper masculine, and you do need to be aware of it because a vast majority of the individuals you're going to be interacting with are males, and
And that,
a
yeah.
lot of them, especially if you're junior enlisted, are young men, and they you know, you're out there, you're working all the fucking time, you're away from your parents, you're on a base. And I saw a lot of females who came onto the boat and just had no idea how to handle men or how to really interact with men. And
I
there
think
were a
that
lot
was
of them
part of that one
that
girl's problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
there were a lot of them where it really did break them, where it was just like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't anything. It was just, you know, it was, you know, it was I don't want to say like boys being boys, but it was essentially like you took one female and dropped her into a fucking division where she's outnumbered like 100 to fucking one,
Well, and
and
you
it's
know,
like
like
I feel isolated and alone. I get it.
Dude,
well,
the
and
Navy
so
wasn't exactly the hardest rate, but it was definitely challenging in a separate. They never talk about this, but the Navy was challenging in a different angle, and that was in your psychosis because
well,
of the isolation.
Nigel has a lot of stories about that too. But so because I wasn't in the military and because we're doing this in podcast form, why don't you guys talk to me for a second about like how much of that masculine nature you think is actually appropriate and how much of it you think you could back down on, because maybe it's not fair that women have to be dropped into a hyper masculine culture and adapt. You know what I mean? Like, so talk to me about what you think is appropriate versus what you think is the military needs to change.
Appropriate in like fixing a system, or appropriate like as far as what people should be allowed to do.
Maybe
How
both.
much of that? Yeah, how much of that hyper masculine space is an appropriate amount of hyper masculinity?
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a. I feel like
Okay.
that's a product of the environment because you can't. You're talking about a boat. Like you can't. How do you fix a contained area? Where it's like, well, don't go to the general public. Turn them into the scarlet letters, right? Well, no, we can't.
Well,
That's
well,
fucked up.
and to expand on it before you guys go into it, so like we talk about how like that, like Nigel said, the phrase of boys being boys, how
Mm.
unacceptable that is in PC culture to say that boys are just being boys, and
Well,
so I'm curious what your guys' stance is on that within the military and how much of boys being boys is acceptable versus we need to change the system to allow it to be more open and accepting to whoever and however.
yeah. So I feel like a lot of
See,
that had to do with maturity
yeah, I
because
would
of their
say
youth.
Yeah, I would say most of the problems that stem from the military is a less a like the fact that it is a hyper masculine space is that it a lot of times can be a very unprofessional space because
It
you get a
really
lot of
felt a lot
young
like high school.
yeah, yeah, you get a ton of young men in there that don't
A
have
lot.
really any job experience, and so they've never worked at a place where they had to be like in a professional work environment. And so they
Yeah.
treat it like their sports team or their high school or the college that they came from and things like that.
Yeah.
That's why pretty consistently you'll see guys that you'll see two guys that like show up. One guy came straight out of high school and one guy is like, and he's like that high school guy's like 18, 19 years old. And then you'll have someone else who shows up and they're like 23, 24 years old. And the 23 or 24-year-old adapts way better. Like they tend to do better. They tend to have their shit together quite a bit more. And I really think that just stems from that person having more work experience and they understand more about how they are supposed to act rather
Yeah.
professionally. Um,
And that's difficult
yeah,
because as far as wanting to change, like how do you appropriate that is kind of the challenge of how do you appropriate, a kind of a really stupid and young behavior out of, again, like you're saying, a lot of these 18 to 24-year-olds that are, again, these are people with these high expectations of themselves, and then they jump into an environment again with just being dumb high school kids. So how do you mitigate that? And that is just it's kind of really next to difficult beyond separate. I mean, they do their best to separate as far as doing your job and saying that, but when you have people crossed into a particular rate, I guess that kind of comes over time with being in the service because you may start your. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of guys that were like recruits and their first year acting like a bunch of fucking idiots, and then come like the second year, you kind of see a bit of change, and then they kind of grew a little bit. So that
they've
kind of
spent a
shifts.
year away from their family. They've spent a year in a completely different environment. Like they had to age rather quickly. Um,
Yeah,
so I mean, if we wanted to get into an extent of how much, like, what's the tolerance, like, what's the higher tolerant rate of like masculinity in the military?
I think it's
I
expectation rather than tolerance.
yeah, well, what I'm saying is like how much masculinity can we get before it's an overly masculine, before it's like too masculine and it's self-destructing.
Male
Um,
quotas. Ugh.
yeah, I mean, I would almost say that I don't think there is that higher rate. I have a hard time really putting that on there. And I mean, and we can speak more, I'll speak more specifically just for like the Navy because, you know, I have several family members who are Marines. I've known a lot of Marines. Um, I don't know about the Army, but I'd imagine they're somewhat similar. But I mean, like, for those guys, for those infantrymen that you need to go over there and be completely fine with killing people, no, you need them to be fucking hard as diamond. You know, like you need to have them in those situations. You just absolutely do. I think that is just a complete domain of like you do not remove the hardness of that and the like at all. You do that
Yeah.
at your military's own peril. Um, you know, but for the Navy in particular, um, it is just it. I don't know. I guess once you got to the point where it's just chaos, but culturally in the Navy, um, I don't think there's, I guess, kind of the drinking culture in a way. Um, there is a lot of suicide in the Navy. So maybe to the extent of the masculine aspects that are kind of stereotyped in not necessarily discussing your own feelings about a lot of things or being unwilling to go see like the psycho or go see really anyone when you're having problems. Um, that's probably the largest aspect of the Navy, which is my experience, that I would say would, as far as the stereotypes of masculinity would be concerned, those are probably the kind of things that it would be okay to have brought down. Um, quite a bit. Probably the idea that yeah, you don't go, don't be a little bitch, quit talking about your feelings, that kind of thing, because
Right.
suicide is a
Yeah.
problem. In the military.
Well, and
Um,
and we've talked about that too, like not just in the military, but I think the world is finally waking up to that for men in general. Men are finally able to seek more help, and like you see even in old TV shows and old media and stuff, where it's like, oh, a man who cries is a bitch, or a man who, talks about his feelings isn't really a man, whatever, whatever. And I think we're getting away from a lot of that stuff, which is
yeah,
important.
the only tears men are allowed to shed are like that one tears
Right.
they look away from the
Right.
camera,
Right.
It is one
Um.
of those older school
because
rates where
they're
you hold
because
on to that value.
Yep.
yeah, and the only time they're allowed to cry like that is when it's like their wife just died.
Right. And
Or like I'm holding my best friend that
Awful.
I made it through the war in Vietnam, and I'm just like, you'll be okay, Jimmy. We'll get you out. And they did like, I love you, man.
right.
One
And
little,
and and
one
so
little
I'm
tear. It's like,
I can agree with that even from a civilian standpoint. So I can only imagine in the Navy where you're isolated on a fucking boat how much even more important it would be to be like, please express your feelings, especially because I think like from my own experience with myself, because I'm a pretty emotional and aggressive person, being able to express my feelings regularly keeps my aggression in check. Like being able to tell you how I feel and let you know, like cry when I need to or be upset, like it keeps me from getting like insanely angry or insanely frustrated because I'm able to just let it out. Like, so I think that makes perfect sense. So to circle back, though, I do want to ask you guys again, as the two that were in the Navy, if you think that the masculinity is an important trait, how do you make those spaces comfortable for, or how do you make them, maybe not comfortable, it's not the word I'm looking for, how do you make them accepting of women and of, like let's even go further, that trans servicemen are a thing right now, and gay ones or whatever. Like how to in those hyper masculine spaces, how do you make it accepting of those people who don't have those hyper masculine traits naturally?
Right.
Do you got
I
any?
never,
I've been rambling on.
I never met too many. Well, I didn't know as many gay guys in the service, but the ones that I did know, I never noticed they got a lot of shit for being what they were.
Sure.
I think there was just this kind of consensus uniform mentality that was there, and I think that's kind of what attracted a lot of people just to joining the service. So you don't typically tend to get like the really I don't want to do that, like you be it men or women. That was never really very oftenly there. You saw a lot
In
of
my
people that
ex-
were. You saw a lot of people
Go
that were
ahead.
that were kind of like just the typical like guy that fucking worked. If it was the guy that worked at say the gas station to the guy that did fucking lawn care, anything for that matter. They were just the guy that just, hey, I just want to do it. I just want to go to work. I want to get a paycheck and I want to go to work. That's all it was really required. It was just do your job and get
Yeah,
it done. And it wasn't like it was super, super hard work per se. It was kind of just like, yeah, there was a lot there.
constant. Yeah,
It is very
yeah. It was
conscious.
just you never left for 9 months. You don't leave work. So
Right.
it's
And
like,
so it's like, yeah, exactly. So you never really, I
I
think,
hope you're cool doing 12 to 14-hour days for the next
yeah. It's the
38 weeks. Or
mentality.
whatever.
Yeah, you need that strong mentality. You definitely need somebody to kind of like, hey, I want to join the Navy. What's it like? Like, okay, well, you need to have a good strong mentality. You basically just kind of have yourself prepared for that kind of life. So it's a
Yeah,
lifestyle change that you need to be prepared for. Have that mental strength for it. And honestly, you find a lot of coping mechanisms, be it through friends. There's a gym. There's all kinds of stuff you can do to kind of cope with certain things that kind of really help if you allow them. Right. Again. So I mean,
yeah,
if you're, and then for that, well, how do you prepare women for that level of throwing meat to the sharks? Don't be meat. You have to
yeah.
have that mentality. It's like don't be me.
Uh,
I think Dana was again another really good example of that because I I didn't have the mentality of saying like, oh, there's another woman in the boat. It was kind of like, no, she's a woman that wanted to prove a point. I didn't know her at the time, but I straight up told her, look, you're a woman in the service. You are here because you feel that you can do it. Good on you. If you come at me like a man, I'm going to strike you like a man. So that's just plain and simple.
yeah,
You joined the
yeah.
service with the intentions to have something to prove, just like I did, damn it. And we both respected
It
each other for that.
it
But for the
it
people
really yeah, it really is an exclusive organization to get in. Like that's the whole point of boot camp and MEPS and everything that comes into it is that it is exclusive to get in. But
and that's a
once you
good
get in,
point to make on boot camp.
I never saw anyone in this aside from honestly like fucking around with one another. Like
Yeah.
if you're a gay person in the military, if you're a white guy in the military, if you're a black person in the military, if you're a female in the military, if you're a trans person in the military, understand that you are going to be in such close quarters with the people that are part of your they're part of your division, they're part of your squad, they're part of your
Mhm.
platoon. You're going to spend so much time with them that guess what? Everybody is going to rip on everybody, and if you have a thin skin, you are going to have a fucking horrible time.
Right.
Like
I mean, there
you
was an
are
HR
just going to
department.
have a
I mean,
horrible time. It was
there
the
was a
chaplain.
department.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was a department. Was it the PRs that could handle like if you had discrimination complaints? They would kind of file some of that stuff, but
No.
it
It
never.
was straight up. It was the RPs actually.
Yeah.
PRs are parachute riggers. But the RPs, yeah, they're the chaplain. They're the religious person.
So, but Yeah, and you know what's funny too is I think you also get that base point where like so this is where I think boot camp is so critical because you get to figure out kind of really quickly whether or not you could really do it. And boot camp is such a piss poor example for what the Navy's going to be like also because so in my opinion, the boot camp, and I don't know, Nigel, if you had heard rumors, but boot camp, it sounded like it had dramatically changed since I had left and you had left before I did. So when I
it
got
sounds
in,
like it.
it's gotten dramatically different. So I can't even speak for it's probably not even, I can't even advocate for it now because it probably,
Yeah,
again,
I
isn't the
don't
same.
think I'd be too scared to go to boot camp anymore.
Well,
No,
that's
not even at least. And when
well,
I was in, I feel like that's so important because you were able to learn something for your, like, kind of like find out what you're capable of doing. Because that was really important for me. It's like, oh wow, I really
Yeah,
found out that I
yeah.
could really do a
You
lot.
felt like when you got done with boot camp, like you were like, "Fuck yeah, I
Yeah,
accomplished." And
and
for a
not only
lot of
that,
people, that's like the first thing they've properly accomplished in
and
life.
so you were kind of prepared physically and somewhat mentally for that level of stress, which was really important. But as far as teamwork goes in boot camp, because boot camp was supposed to teach you teamwork and work as a team on the boat, not even a fucking thing. Because training in boot camp was garbage. And then when you get in the boat, people are like, "Oh, we're just doing a job, man."
well,
Yeah,
so I do have another question about that, and I think I sort of lean toward a discussion Nigel and I have had about like, or we've all had about needing to be tough enough to handle it. Like, how does a girl like the one you were speaking on that can't do the job, that struggles mentally, that struggles physically, like how do people like that even make it through boot camp? Like I would
really quick. Who
the
was speaking? Because
girl
we both spoke about
the
different
girl
ones.
that Matt said that committed suicide.
Yo, how did she even get out of boot camp if she wasn't even
Right.
that prepared?
That's what I'm
I think it's
saying.
because they don't properly prepare. So boot camp really
Yeah,
focuses on stress training and getting you ready
yeah.
just for a stressful environment. They focus on really harassing you, like really getting in your face, really getting you just like, can you do a job under really stressful situations? Because they tend to happen. Whether it be
Yeah.
rough seas and you're doing an unrep, you need to be able to stay focused and do your job. That's really what they want from you.
Or just simply
Then,
someone got hurt. I mean, the amount
yeah,
of
can
times
you?
someone fell or got
Yeah,
cut or got injured
yeah.
all the time. Yeah,
So how do
and you
so like they don't really do a, and it's kind of really hard to I guess I could say it's really hard to prepare somebody for like, okay, so how do we train somebody in what 8 weeks for a 9 month deployment?
yeah,
That's hard. So I think
yeah,
that's where she might have made it through boot camp, no big deal, you know. I and I know women have at the time they had their PQSs and their fitness quals were much different than the males. So she probably was able to get by it, no big deal. Keep her nose down. You know, boot camp's kind of about that. Keep your nose down, do what you got to do, get screamed at, and you're all set. So I don't
yeah.
think it was necessarily the stress of the job that got the better of her, as much as it was being. Well, I guess no. I guess it could have been the stress of the job, but I don't think she was able to really comprehend what was coming for her
Nothing can
on
really
deployment.
prepare you for deployment. Like nothing can properly. Like boot camp does not
Because you're out of
properly.
communication. Because in boot camp, you were able to call home and say, "Hi, mom."
Yeah,
You don't get
out
to
on the
do that.
boat. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well, and
And I
No.
mean, like,
I don't know
and
how
you're
much.
around way more people. You're doing additional shit. I mean, like,
Plus, if you're
it's
not
just
doing well at your job, you're getting a lot of pressure from your coworkers. Like, why are you
yeah,
fucking up?
Yeah.
Like, get the
yeah.
fuck out of my face.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And
If you think if you think your if you think your birthing is fucking angry at you when you fuck up marching, wait until it's 6 months of you not knowing how to do your fucking job properly, and your fucking your storeroom, your fucking division, whoever they fucking hate.
Listen, I can
Like
only
not only
imagine
that,
because
you go to
I
bed
run
with
I
those
run a
people.
gas station and I hate my employees that can't do their fucking job. So I can
You
only
go to
imagine.
yeah.
So I can only imagine when it's an environment where you can get in fucking hyper trouble for the most minor shit, and you guys are on a fucking boat in close quarters for 9 fucking months, having to do the same job together every day. Like,
And then you go back to the same berthings together to go to bed. So not only that, you get to go back and see that motherfucker.
yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can only
It's
imagine. So I'm because I'm not in the
But
military.
we actually didn't answer your question.
Yeah, I was thinking it too.
We didn't answer we didn't necessarily answer your question about boot camp, which is that for me at the very least, it's just there's nothing that's really going to prepare you for that. But also your other question about whether or not how should we really um, change things, or how is a woman or a gay person or someone who's not the stereotypical hyper masculine, straight white male,
Yeah.
kind of thing, go forward and like survive in this organization. And the thing is you really have to just be okay with conformity, because you have to assimilate to the fucking culture that you're entering into. That is the entire purpose of the military.
Yeah.
You have to be
Yeah. You want to
completely
be
fine
pretty
with
fluid.
knowing my uniqueness is no longer a fucking thing. It's gone. I am a cog in a machine. And unless you are able to get that through your head and just be complete, like, you do have to give yourself to the organization, or you're going to have a horrible fucking time.
Yeah.
And
Individuality is
so,
a killer.
yeah, and so my advice to females is don't go in when you're young. Like, seriously, do not join the military as a junior enlisted when you're like 18. You do not have nearly enough experience, and you are about to get dropped into a fucking Shark Tank. And the society we live in right now has not prepared you for that shit.
And it isn't even so much of a. I mean, there is a sexist Shark Tank involved in that, but that's not that would frankly, in my opinion, be the least of the concerns, because that particular Shark Tank is also going to consist of, the level of work and what have you that comes entailing.
You're surrounded by young men, and then when you go out in town, you're still surrounded by men.
Because the pig-headed mentality out of guys
fucking
comes
inexperienced, and you absolutely become a target. Like, no matter what, you absolutely become a target.
Yeah.
And if you do that, and again, you're young, you're inexperienced. One of the biggest problems I saw with young women in the military was they eventually found a boyfriend. They eventually slept with someone, whatever. Instantly. If you do well, you're a slut. like
So-
at that point, because you are now adding in like relationship high school dynamics into your fucking work.
That's exactly what happened to that girl, by the way.
and-
She ended up getting in a relationship with my LS2.
Before you even fucking said it, I knew. I was like, she got into a relationship with like a third class or a fucking second class. They started fucking.
And she was going to go to mass because it was fraternizing.
It was fraternization, or it was going to be the LS2 realized he didn't want to deal with some fucking 18-year-old fucking toddler, essentially.
Oh, he was married and they got pinched.
Oh my god, yeah. So
they both were going up, but he was diming her out, and so she was just she's on a boat, so it's not like you can go anywhere.
And the thing is young women just don't get that. They haven't worked in a workspace. They haven't seen the kind of ramifications that come from these kind of things. And so my advice to females is just don't join the military if you're under the age of like 25. Like, just trust me.
Yeah.
You're going to have if you're the kind of female who's like, you grew up with 5 brothers, you know what the fuck is up, you have a lot of life experience at a young age, sure. But on average, I did not see very many females under the age of 25 that had a great time in the military, because they just were not prepared for the culture shock they were about to get.
It's really just like high school, just really, really ramped.
High school, if like 95% of your high school was male and young.
Well, and
because that's where a lot of the pig-headed guys come from.
So do you think that the military should make more of an effort to like really shut down the way that men like treat women like that, like call them sluts or like treat them poorly?
They already do.
Do they?
They discriminate completely against it.
They already do. Yeah. Yeah,
they already do. They could get reported for. The problem is that you don't get away from it when you're working next to somebody and they just judge you. It's that whole judgmental factor. It's like, well, I know that making fun of you for being gay is completely discriminatory, but I can still shoot you looks and make you feel incredibly uncomfortable pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, we still have to go live with each other for the next 9 months.
So
yeah, like you're not getting away from that.
It's not like all of the bad things are acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll go to mask for shit. Like,
yeah.
Like, you'll get in a lot of trouble. Yeah. It's
you
not
just know how to
that
telegraph it without saying it.
Yeah, well, and it just doesn't matter, because then here's the other thing that occurs is say you take some slight. If it's something serious, everyone will back you. Like if it's something serious, like, oh yeah, he came up, he slapped my ass, and then when I turned around and fucking punched him in the mouth, he called me a slut. Whatever.
Yeah.
If it was something like that, no, your division, everyone's gonna go, yeah, that guy's being a fucking asshole. Like, that guy's being a fucking piece of shit. that kind of thing. But if it's something slight, if it's something along the lines of you had a relationship with someone and then the rumor mill fucking started for whatever reason, and then you want to go report someone for the fucking rumor mill, yeah, enjoy that. Like enjoy that because now
Right.
you're
Well, not
fucking
only
up the team. Like now you're
Right.
fucking up the
and
team, and as far as anyone's concerned, you are the person that fucking stuck a dick in your mouth.
it's
Like
even worse if it's like you're fraternizing with like say one of your supervisors. So like say a second
so
class
bad,
or what have you,
so bad.
right in your division, because now you're looking like you're getting beneficial treatment for that,
That
and that
shit will
really looks
follow
awful
you
too.
around your entire career too. Like you will
Yeah.
never, no matter what command you go to, you'll always be that chick.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
It's like high school,
So-
man.
I know that I know that we touched on this a little bit. But with preparation and boot camp, can you guys think of anything else now that you've been through boot camp and you're out of the military and you're living in civilian life
Oh,
again and all
fuck.
of that? Can you think of anything else that you wish boot camp could have done to prepare you more for your Navy time? I know that you said that there's not a lot they could do, but is there anything you think that they could add to really assist in like like you said, the culture shock that is being on a fucking boat for 9 months?
I don't think so, to be honest with you.
That's
I really
tough,
don't
yeah.
think so.
They
Yeah.
have, so it's funny, at the end of boot camp, the last, is it 24 or 40? I think it's 24 hours they keep, no, 48 hours, 2 days. They
72.
keep you up.
Your last 3 days in boot camp when you do battle stations, that's 3 days.
Is it 3 days? So you're awake for 3 days. You don't get any sleep for the next 3 days, and you do what's called battle stations. And they put you on. It's a really impressive simulated ship, from top to bottom.
Developed by Universal Studios. The whole thing
Oh, yeah.
moves around and fills with
It's
water
a
and smoke.
solid
It's crazy.
replica. You're going through all the scenarios. You're doing all the things. You basically get a little taste of what it's like being on a ship, which I think is really cool. But that just does not do any justice or any preparation for, again, being gone for 9 months. So I think, God, that's so hard to have to.
It doesn't, and some of that is also picked up in A school, when you go and actually learn your rate, depending on your rate as well. But I mean, I just don't
Because
think
you are
there
away.
is anything. I don't think there
You have
is
to be
anything.
adventurous. You have to kind of. Yeah. I guess if you're just like, you know what? Honestly, the best preparation for somebody. Here's a good one. Be fucking single. Don't be fucking. Don't be married. I'm not even saying don't have a girlfriend. Don't be married. Because you're gonna miss them, and that's gonna be a string back home. You're gonna have something tethering you back home. Don't be a fucker's mama's boy, because if you're a mama's boy, you're gonna have a string back home. And if you're married, that's gonna be hard because people
in a
get
lot of
bored.
ways it's very difficult to take someone who is weak-willed and things like that and make them a strong-willed individual.
People that are single, I feel, have a more of an adventurous mentality
Yeah.
to just like, I can do whatever I want. I don't care. Like, this doesn't
most
affect
of
me.
the-
This is great. This is the world's
most of the
biggest
guys
cruise.
most of the guys who were bachelors on the boat love deployment. They're like, yeah, I'll go back out for the boat. Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. But like, it's all the guys who are like me who have like a wife and a fucking kid and shit that was like, this sucks ass.
I was pretty good up until I met Dana, and then I had my son, and she was back home, and I was like, oh fuck, man, now I'm missing this, and I'm doing that.
Yeah, it's super hard. But I mean, even beyond those kinds of things, I just don't think there's anything. There is nothing that can really prepare you if you came in like you have to be hardworking, and that's why I said like you have to really lean into the culture of the military. Like you just really do, because the more you try to like just lean against it and shy away from it and things like that, you're not going to pick up rank. You're going to be the shitbag in the division. The division's going to realize that you're a weak link in the fucking chain. Like that's the biggest thing, is you have to strive very hard to not be the weak link in the chain. Because if you're the weak link in the chain,
You really do. If you're really good,
and
keeping
that's
your
kind
nose
of
clean and keeping your head down really works.
yeah, and that's kind of the thing as well. Is it's like in the military, to finally answer your question on.
I know it's such a hard question to answer, because it's like,
what do like females and gay people and trans people and things like that need to do is like show up and be the best worker you can possibly be, because no one will give a fuck. If you show up and you contribute to the team 110%, no one will care. Literally no one.
actually, so I found out rather quickly in boot camp. That's interesting that you said that, because I guess and it's weird. Everybody had their own strategy about it. I think it's really important to have somebody that had done a deployment to kind of pick their brain and have that hindsight, because hindsight's always 20/20. But there really isn't a mental that's about as good of a mental brace as you're getting. It's about as good as a toothpick holding up a table. So you're kind of like, this kind of does something, but this bitch is gonna break real fast. But
Yeah.
so you were saying like, being the hard worker. So this was funny. One of the things I found out really quickly was, and it applied in boot camp, and it certainly applied when I was deployed. And I don't want to sound like a complete shitbag, because I wasn't, but I was.
Come on, shit, bag it up. Let's go.
So the underachievers in both boot camp and deployment were very, very easily weeded out. You could tell the people that didn't want to work, that couldn't work, or had like this weird Napoleon complex from working to do anything. Those people got grilled, and those people tend to kind of get the short end of the stick or got worked even harder, which really kind of fucking sucked for them. And then you had the overachievers, right? So the people that really went 110%, that wanted to get that job done, that this needed to get completed. Maybe they were Joe Navy, and this was mission critical. Those people I found really quickly got leaned on really fucking hard. That meant that their manager, first class, second class, was like, hey, you're my go-to. I need this done. And it's just you, or it's you and some other guy that was an overachiever. What I found that worked really good was being right in the middle. The guy that was really good at fucking working and doing the job didn't want to get pinched for not doing the job. Yeah. And that was what I found was the fucking sweet spot. So I never got called on to do a shit ton. I only got called on when something big was there, right? Oh, hey, we have an unwrap. Sweet. Matt, your helm call or your capstan qualified, right? Yep, got it.
That makes me feel like your guys' assessment of the military just being another job is even more accurate, because I've told Nigel this a bunch of times, especially working in like production, like when I worked at like FedEx and UPS and all of that. What I tell people is never be the best. Always be above average, but not the best.
Yeah.
Because if you're above average, you know how to do a lot of things. You can help out wherever they need you, and you can be a guy that
you were out of the radar.
Right, you can be a guy that they ask for help or whatever, but you're not the go-to guy. You're not the guy they work like a dog, and often enough, you're the guy they choose for a promotion because the guy that works like a dog, they want him to keep working like a dog.
Well, that does not happen in the military.
Well, and the guy that works like a dog tends to not be the fucking complainer either. He never really bitches. He's like, I'm okay with this kind of shit. You're like, you're an idiot.
If you're the guy who is the super overachiever in the military, you're absolutely going to get promoted.
Well, that's good at least. I mean, I think that's important.
Without a doubt. They're going to move your ass up.
That's kind of true.
Yeah. So it's not 100% the case, but yeah, that's where most people lay out. The biggest problem I saw from a lot of people who were not essentially the stereotype was a lot of times is they really they just didn't wish to conform to that. Like it felt like something almost fundamental to them. Or like, no, my identity is so incredibly
they fought
important.
the resistance mentality.
Yeah, they just resisted it way too much, and they were just kind of like, and it came out. It was very difficult for, I knew several gay guys in the Navy. One of them blew all of our minds. Because we were in right at the tail end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed while I was in the military. And there was a dude, we came back from deployment, and then Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed, and he was just like, yeah, I'm gay. And we were like, what? It's like big hulking black dude. We were God damn, you're an intimidating fucking gay guy to be showered with, bro. It was somebody in supply in the Enterprise.
What's crazy
I don't want to sit here and name names or anything.
That's all right. What I always found funny about that is the people that surprise you the most. One of the hardest fucking things, man, that I hated fucking doing. Nigel, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put you back, man. So it's anchor detail. So we're doing sea and anchor, and you're in the forecastle. So now, it doesn't matter. Forecastle or fucking aft, it don't matter. But let's put you in the forecastle. So they're doing turns on the capstan.
First division.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So putting turns on the capstan with the Anaconda line, I think there was. Do you remember Cole?
Yeah.
Big brolic black guy. He was the capstan go-to guy. He would take this fucking Anaconda line that was bigger than my fucking leg. That was whatever.
What he's talking about is a line that's probably like this wide around. I mean, you could not hold that thing with both of your fucking hands.
It's thick and it's fucking long. It's a line.
A line is a rope, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Doesn't know this.
So it tethers the ship to the pier, or a part of it anyway. And fucking, there was people, and it wasn't just Colt. There was people that would, so they take it with one forearm, right, wrap it in the forearm, and they would whip it with one arm to make one turn, so a swing around to go around this massive capstan because it would crank the rope up.
Yeah, and
Right?
the capstan is the capstan, to give a frame of reference, is probably about as wide as like it's probably about as wide as like a queen size.
I'd say
bed.
a good kitchen
it's
table.
Fucking big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're taking this thing and you're whipping line around it, but you got to put what 2 or 3 turns on a capstan. 3. So you got to whip.
2 could probably work, but you're supposed to do 3.
So you put these turns on it, and then they pull it. So the capstan turns, pulls it tight, and then whatever sorry son of a bitch has got to take. Wow, oh my God,
capstan.
what was this
line?
The small stuff to choke it up right at the
Mm-hmm.
and then okay, hold it tight while they do their thing on the pier, and then they fucking don't get it fucking done, and you're like, God damn it. So they would whip turns on this thing, and dude, there was a few people besides Cole that made sense, but there was people that could whip turns on. I think Jeff was one of them where Jeff could put turns on a fucking capstan like a fucking champ.
Totally good. Jeff DeVilliger was a fucking G at that shit, man. Yeah.
I struggled at fucking putting turns because I could get the first 2. It was once because the rope is wet. It's fucking heavy at that point. So the third turn, I'm like, dude, my fucking arm is shot. And then
it easily weighs like 20 to 30 pounds. Yeah, it easily weighs like 20 to 30 pounds without a fucking doubt. Like any individual part of it on your hand.
Yeah. So that shit was always crazy. Yeah. So
I pretty much immediately, because I was first div, and I pretty much immediately, they were like, you want to do this? And I was like, I ain't doing it. Like, it ain't going to work.
They asked me that shit
I'm too
once,
small,
and I
man.
said, no.
Especially back then, Nigel, you've gotten a little more broad and a little more thick in your, like, gotten a little older.
I was like 65 pounds smaller.
Oh my God, yeah. When you were in the military, you were scrawny. Oh my God.
Well, Jeff wasn't really toned. Jeff was big, but I was surprised how much meat that boy on. I mean, I know he played sports, so maybe that
Jeff was just thick. Yeah, Jeff was thick with 2 C's. Got a dog on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've gone on more than long enough a tangent, I think.
That's okay. I think you guys answered some pretty good questions.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, anyone joining the military, just totally lean into that shit. It's totally going to suck. But I personally just think trying to, for lack of a better word, feminize the military is just not a good track.
And I think boot camp is going to be more misleading than ever. So be careful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boot camp is going to be very misleading. It's very lax now. So
absolutely,
you're going to get no stress training.
Anyway, so now let's watch the Chinese recruitment ad.
Oh my God, we're still on this.
Right? It's like, man, where did we go?
So I didn't know China had a recruitment video. It'd be interesting. One.
So I'm seeing a lot of order, a lot of uniforms. Troops, infantry. Even getting into their space programs, medics, cybersecurity, fucking missile techs, artillery. China, your navy is adorable.
I was gonna say they only had one clip of one ship.
That's their whole navy.
They're like, that's our weak point. You shut up.
Yeah, right.
Oh no! Please don't do accents.
We fight.
Super
we fight on
racist.
land. We don't do the sea thing. Fuck you guys.
You don't understand. We have good navy.
Matt, please.
Is that a 999 or a 666?
It's 888. We have so eyes.
Hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on just once. What is that? Did you see that little amphib they had there? That thing looks sick as fuck.
Yeah, I heard it was made in China though.
Fucker. Whatever. Old Winnie the Pooh himself.
Ooh.
Even have the leader of the nation at the time coming out, showing up.
祖国召唤，我必到。一生到，一生到。
So we saw teams, we saw units, we saw people actually going and doing shit. As a
Context
squad.
is super important, but looking at the face value of it, it was
Well,
pretty
you could still
standard,
get the feel that they were getting. You know, they had
it was
rising
intense. It
crescendos
was
and six, you know,
it was national proud nationalist. You got to have that nationalism in there. That's what
every
it was.
military
Yeah,
ad
of
is
course. Why
national.
else do you join your service? I get it.
Yeah, the whole thing is
Join
you
China.
go fight and die for your country.
You can't join China. We know fuck up Wuhan.
Matt.
They lie. It was
Matt,
My God.
America.
please stop.
Matt, you have to stop.
Like, I'm
Not
talking
even a
like
little
that
bit.
is not okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You, like,
we're
straight up get
delving
our
into the
video
realm of
banned.
too far.
Oh, that's great. Oh man, I forgot the Communist Party owns YouTube.
The Communist Party owns everything.
I know.
But I mean, you can see from this
Bastards.
ad of what they're trying to get at, which is like power, strength, and unity. Like you can really get that feeling through everything. You had squads doing things. You had each branch of that military really light on their navy, saying guys. But you had everything going on. You even had representation from the leader of that nation. So I mean, like it's a good ad. Fuck.
I would call it, like, as a civilian, I would call it a strong military ad. Like, that is
Yeah,
how I would
I mean-
describe it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel like if I were a fucking Chinese citizen, I'd be sitting there like, hey, like fuck, man, my military looks badass. You know, just saying.
You remember who was the voice actor that was in Mass Effect that would do the Marine videos? I can't think of his name, but you know what I'm talking about. He would do the few proud the Marines.
Oh, he was
And it was-
Captain Anderson.
Yes.
David,
That was
Keith
Keith
David
David.
Anderson.
Keith David.
No, it wasn't Keith. Yeah, it was Keith David. No, because that wasn't Keith. No. Keith David did Anderson, but I don't think the guy who did the Few, the Proud, the Marines. That was the dude from Allstate.
Anderson was Keith David. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think he did the Few, the Proud, the Marines thing. I'm pretty sure that was the dude who did Allstate. Like I'm like almost positive it was the guy that did Allstate. You're in good hands with Allstate.
William Brown. Billy Brown.
Was
I'm pretty
it?
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the guy who did the Allstate shit.
It says
They do have similar. Did Keith David do the Few, the Proud, the Marines?
No, William Brown did.
Did he? Oh, well. Anyway, see, that's what you want. You want that good, smooth, velvety
Yeah.
voice that really promotes your ads. So you know,
It
of course,
shows-
you need to have. That's all critical stuff for your videos.
If we had to have a military ad, we had to choose. Okay, what's the theme of this military ad? Inclusivity or strength and power? I mean, which do we think is more important? For me, it's strength and power.
Well, yeah, China's got a lot of numbers.
Well,
don't
and
they?
I guess it depends though. Like it depends on who you're trying to advertise to, because like I would venture to say that while I don't know if it is healthy for the military, that a video of inclusivity may touch more people in America than one of strength in 2021. Whether or not that is a good or bad thing for the military and what the future of the military holds, I don't necessarily think is a question, because remember, it is a recruitment ad, not an advertisement of what the military actually is, and they're trying to draw people in.
Yeah, but I would
it's
say,
just where the nationalist mentality comes into play.
yeah, well, but I don't know. I may even push back on that because let's just be real here. Like, is that really the base you're gonna draw from? Like, do we really think that there's like a bunch of there's like this high percentage of like, like woke fucking graduates from Berkeley that are like, you know what I wanted to do? I want to go join the
Well, I mean,
U.S.
we
military.
saw a really big movement about trans people wanting to be in the military. You know, gay people in the military was really big 5-6 years ago. Like,
Yeah,
whether
gay people was in it, but in reality, there wasn't like it was like there was a lot of uproar about trans should be allowed into the military, but in reality, it wasn't like the fucking trans people joining the military went up dramatically. Like it didn't really fucking change.
maybe not, but I think that to the general public, this ad will gain more traction. People might link it. Oh my God! Look, the military's inclusive now. Send this to my friends. You know what I mean? Like that's more the point that I'm making. Like I'm not saying that I think.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I think that it is the greatest military ad because, like, I think that one of like strength or unity probably resonates with a military better. But I can see why they made that choice because we live in 2021. It's Wokeville now. Like,
I just don't think it. I still just don't think. I don't think. I think you could make the wokest military ad ever, and you're still going to get the people, the essentially target audience you're going after. Still, just think of the military, the U.S. military, as a bunch of war criminals who are just mercenaries to defend oil pipelines. Like I don't think that those. I don't think that that group of individuals are all just like, oh my god, I saw that woke military ad. You know what? I will go join the Marine Corps. I don't.
I
just
really
don't
wish I felt you were wrong there.
Like I just don't think that's gonna happen.
I mean, there
Maybe.
is a special population that ends up joining the service, and it isn't like, Karen, who was working at, whatever, who's like, I'm gonna join the military. Like, nah, you're usually getting somebody from fucking South North Carolina, Kentucky, Texas, anywhere else. It's like, yeah, whatever. They love their country. Maybe they want to get to work, and they think it's cool.
They a lot of times
You get the
feel a
dog-
requirement to do so.
Yeah, maybe a lot of family previously was in the service, and then occasionally you get that dipshit 18-year-old that wanted to join the Navy because he wanted to be a SEAL and found out Buds was a shit show.
It's found out.
So
that
here
they
I
were
am in
not
deck
nearly-
department.
They were not nearly as hot shit as they thought they were.
Well, they thought being
I-
a gunner's mate was really fucking cool. I get to shoot guns all day, and then you find out you don't get to shoot guns all day. That's what
Then
the
you've got the
end-
people-
I get to shoot guns all day at the non-existent threat to the U.S. Navy.
then you've got
but
then
you
you've got
get to
people
clean the
like
shit out of those guns.
then you've got people
Right.
like your brother who's like, I'm going to join the military, I guess, because I don't really know what else I want to do. And then he ends up doing like search and rescue and shit like that. And he's like, this
Yeah.
shit sucked. It was terrible. You know, like people talk about like what awesome work it is. And your brother's like, nah, dude, I was basically abused. Like they taught me how to survive and it was not nice. It was terrible.
They sent me to SEER training, stripped me down naked, put me in a cold cell, kept me up for days at a time, and didn't feed me, and fucking interrogated me and beat the shit out of me until I got the opportunity to escape, and then was caught again.
Aww.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got all these people that like glorify it, like, oh my god, that's such heroes work, and your brother's like, nah, I damn near died doing that shit.
Well, and I mean, if you talk to almost any veteran, people will sit there and be like, man, that's heroes, God, like, again, for me, it's always weird when I hear thank you for your service, because for me, it's just always like, I counted parts for freedom, okay? Like, I was in deck department, I did Popeye shit for freedom, and I counted parts for freedom. That was the joke. Because
Well,
it was just like,
The
you know,
one,
like,
and
unnecessary.
I always tell you this, but I will say it for the podcast's sake. To me, part of the reason people do it, and I don't always thank people for their service, whether or not that's appropriate or not, but I think part of the reason people do it is because the threat of your life being on the line exists.
Yeah, it's totally there. But I mean, like, with that, if you ask anyone, like, you can even ask people who are like Medal of Honor recipients, and it's like, man, you're a hero, and they'll all go like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not. No.
Well, my uncle, I believe, was in Vietnam, and he talks about how he does not talk about any of it like it was a great experience. He's like, I watched my friend blow into pieces next to me. He was like, my best friend died by being split into pieces. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, war's not fun.
Vietnam was a different kind of war too. It wasn't like the Iraq-Afghan war. Not to say that was any better, but boy, Vietnam was a different fucking pig.
Vietnam was a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I did not envy anyone who went to Vietnam. And they got treated the shittiest when they came back home. They got
Yeah, they
spit
did.
on and shit like that. Yeah, they're
Baby
all called
killers.
baby killers and shit. Yeah. Yeah, it was fucking terrible.
Yep.
Anyway, so we got done with the China one. Strength, unity, power, you know, communism. Yay, I guess. But now we're gonna go on to my personal favorite because we're gonna watch the Russian one and I think the Russian one is hard as fuck. Like I watch this and I'm like, fuck, I want to go join the Russian army. Let's fucking go.
Really?
Yeah, they bring back like we killed the fucking Nazis, motherfucker, and it's like, God, damn right.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll
We're
get into
erasing our history. They're fucking eating that up like Kobayashi.
this.
Это первый день твоей новой жизни.
So show in boot camp, get your hair buzzed.
Не имеет значения.
This is what I did
Что было
before.
прежде, уже никого не волнует.
Oh, we're gonna back that up just a smidge because there's one thing that I find really funny about Russians in general. Anytime they show shit of male bonding, it looks like a gay advertisement.
Первый день твоей
Just
новой
watch
жизни.
these guys sitting up on
Что
a
было
bench
вчера,
together.
Не имеет значения. Как и
Damn it.
прежде, уже не
Like, I don't know why, but it always comes off as like they're so anti-gay. But anytime they show men being friendly with one another, it always comes off as like I get like if we change this and it was like, oh, these are three guys in like Los Angeles, I'd be like, those are three gay guys.
Maybe
But that
maybe
again,
they're
chicks were
just
really
okay.
bad porn.
Maybe they're just okay with being close buds, Nigel. Jesus, you ever think of that?
I don't think that. I think it's the opposite. I think it's because they're so fucking hyper masculine that when they're like, okay, guys, act like you're friends with one another. They're like, I have no idea how to do this. Like,
So uncomfortable and
comes
awkward.
off.
He's like, all right, strike a natural pose. No, that's not even fucking natural at all. Be cool. Be chill.
Oh my God, you
I
guys
think-
are the worst.
I think
Let me
I think
relax.
that's really the case. But anyway,
никого не волнует. Теперь важно то, кем ты будешь сегодня. Что ты знаешь о себе.
how
На что ты
fucking
способен.
jacked that guy is.
Von fucking Drago.
Но
Jesus
ради того,
Christ.
чтобы потом спокойно спать. Узнать себя, познать границы своих возможностей. К черту границы. Ты готов ломать себя до изнеможения каждый день.
Are we
Здесь
sure
боль
it's
закаляет
not an ad for
шрамы,
gay men?
повседневность. Это ты решил себе
Right?
что-то доказать. Командир здесь только для того, чтобы ты
very
мог убить
homoerotic.
врага, потому что
Homoerotic.
после боя
And this is like
Yeah.
my dad was a paratrooper in fucking World War II.
Это ты. Вчерашний ты. Твоя задача выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он.
If you listen there, it's like Brzezinski. Like we fucking killed the
Потому что
Nazis. It's
завтра
like,
первый день твоей новой жизни.
then we get this. The fuck is this cartoon bullshit? God damn it! I hate watching the Russian one that it goes right into the fucking U.S. one. It makes me just, goddamn fucking.
That was on purpose.
Oh my god. But okay, so let's just take the poll
No.
right now. If we put these three military ads into a fight, who comes out on top?
No, I don't want to do it. Oh, Russia for sure.
I feel like the US one gets fucking stomped into dog shit quickly, and then the Russia, like there's one Russian dude who kills like 5,000 Chinese dudes before finally the human wave gets him.
Yeah.
God.
But that's my take. That's the three. Which one do we like the most? For me, it's the Russian one. That Russian one's hard as fuck.
The Russian one is just like, it's just down to business. Like I feel like if you're looking for nationalism, the Chinese one is like king. But I think that the Russian one is just like, listen, this is the military. This is what it is. Deal
We're
with
gonna
it.
fuck shit up.
If you want to show up in our shit, you better look like this dude. Never fucking crack a smile except when you're in your friends, and that's before your ass goes to fucking boot camp.
Or you
Once
Because,
you're
like-
done,
go to the gulag.
you're gonna
'Cause,
fuck
well-
shit up.
Because, like, I will say this. It was a really powerful moment where he's like, oh, I'm going to bed. And then he wakes up in a fucking barracks, sits up, fucking gets dressed. You're just like, oh, my God. So y'all are
Yeah.
fucking serious.
Yeah, I dream about my girl back home, but I wake up to go fuck shit up. It's like, God damn. Yeah,
Army doesn't. You don't go to army. Army comes to you.
yeah. That one. So I mean, like, I think the army one's definitely the coolest. It definitely motivates me the most.
You mean
The
the Russian
Chinese
one?
one definitely had,
Does it motivate you?
or
the
yeah, the
most?
Russian one. Yeah, the Russian one definitely motivated me the most.
Mm.
I think the Chinese one overall was probably the best. It had the best production value. It showed every single branch of their military. I mean, it's like the perfect military.
Right. That's kind of what I would say too. Is it's like if you were to say like what is the picture perfect best military ad? I think the Chinese one was good. It showed nationalism. It showed the leader of the nation in it. It showed the different branches. It showed like what it means to be a unit, what it means to be like respectful and professional.
Oh yeah,
It showed like it removed the individuality, like we've talked about, how like you are a cog in the machine. Like it really just kind of expresses like a lot of what a military is in ideal, like in an ideal of a military.
yeah, it was really good.
Whereas I think the Russian one kind of expresses what a military like almost actually is, where it's like it's rigid, it's bullshit, it's fucking it's strength, but it's also like uh durability and I don't know, like just crunching through it.
Yeah, yeah, dude, it's fucking good as hell. I'm
And
trying
like
to find that movie.
and I think like I said, I think that the US one is meant to be almost like a PR campaign rather than an actual military ad. It's like a PR campaign for civilians to be like, look, the military's for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hell yeah! All right, I'm gonna see if I can change this watch together link we have for the most badass Marine ad there ever was.
Oh no, I don't
This
know
is
if I'm ready.
this one in particular was my least favorite. Am I still muted? No. Okay, good. Yeah, this one was my least favorite.
The USA one. Yeah,
This dipshit that you're about to cross into. I had more respect for fucking Grenda and his fucking little rail thin mom than I
you're-
have this fucking
you're-
dork.
Was it that one you really disliked?
This was my least favorite.
You guys see this video?
Yeah.
Perfect. This thing was
Oh,
fucking
wait.
hardcore back in the day.
Oh,
It's
no,
terrible quality
old school
though.
Marine, sorry.
It's from like 1996. Cut it some goddamn
No,
slack.
I haven't seen this in a while. I'm sorry. No. This is the one I was talking about.
I have never seen this.
Fucking climbing through the corkscrews of fucking death.
Fucking leave it to America to make fucking American Gladiator look fucking real.
This was when American Gladiator was popular. Of course it is.
And then he brings out the Marine fucking Sword of Doom. And what's he gotta kill? A goddamn lava demon.
And people wonder why we're all D&D nerds.
I know, right? Fucking slices that goddamn arm up, cuts its fucking throat. You don't give a fuck. It's a goddamn U.S. Marine.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
Can I be honest with you? I think
That
that's
shit made my dick rock hard back in the day.
I think that's an awful military ad. Awful.
You're well, you don't count. Fuck you. You're
I
wrong.
think it's an awesome I think it's awesome, like an awesome commercial. But I think like the whole video you're watching, you're like, what the fuck is this? What? And then like at the end, you're like, the few, the proud, the brave, or whatever, and you're just like, what? What?
No, I was completely as a fucking 6-year-old. I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking Marine and I'm gonna go slay lava monsters. I'm gonna be like a fucking fit Gandalf the Grey and go fuck shit up. Fuck that Balrog.
Oh my god.
That shit was. That
Who
shit blew
was
my
that?
goddamn mind as a little
Okay,
kid.
so it's I'm kind of with Jakai. It was the equivalent of having Michael Bay go ahead and just like blow the fuck out of everything in the background, be like, bam, 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 fire, fire, and all of a sudden you have like a pair of titties flying out, and guns, and you have monsters, and you have like fucking wizards and monkeys and all kinds of shit, and then all of a sudden it's like Marines. You're like, what the fuck just happened, man? I just had, like,
Oh my God, yes!
uncomfortably
Thank you.
awkward sex,
Thank you.
and do I pay you after this? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think it is a cool ad, but I like if I watched like watching that, I'm like, oh, What is happening? Is this a movie?
I think
Like, is this a movie?
I think that was the Super Bowl ad. I think that was the Super Bowl ad the Marines had.
Perfect.
For like the Super Bowl, like 1998.
It makes sense
Super
for a
awesome
Super
video.
Bowl
I will
ad.
say it was good, but I would be confused. Like, why is this a Marine commercial? It was good. I mean, dude, badass dude pulls a fucking Excalibur, fucking slays out fucking one of the demon monsters from Lord of the Rings. I think that shit's dope.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, my
dude.
favorite ones are literally, like I said, are the ones from like the late 90s, early 2000s that are literally just like some fucking Marines on a beach and then like a shot with their family. And then it's like, that's it. That's the video. Like, yeah. I think those make really good army videos because like they speak to like the things you want. You want to protect your country, you want to be a serviceman, and you want to have a family and go back to your family afterwards. Like, look, we've resolved it. We're there.
The guy is probably watching like a U.S. Army Reserves video.
Probably.
Where they're like, hey, you can show up on the weekends, do the kind of thing, spend most of the time with the family, bro. Maybe go out on deployment like once in your entire career. It's cool, dude.
It's cool, dude.
Guy's like, guy's like, that's the army I want to be a fucking part of right there. Anyway, so that's pretty much the video. What do we? I guess final thoughts as to what we think. Do we think the army's going in the right direction with these new ads, or do we think that our competition overseas is just blowing us out of the water right now?
China can't blow us out of the water on anything, but
well, no other military can literally blow us out of the water on anything.
Yeah, I'm still patriotic, I guess. Yeah. No, I think we're sucking shit. I think we're pandering, and I think that's where we're fucking up. And I think it's not even going to help promotional numbers. And if it does, well, the military should be awfully concerned. Like I said, they get the wrong people joining the service for the wrong fucking reasons. It could actually, and we're kind of seeing it today, where we're having, woke mobs going into the service and creating these anti-race theories inside the military. It's not to say that certain ideas aren't bad, but it is to say when you create disruptive ones, you end up kind of really weakening the one thing that its job was meant to do, and that was defend a country. So you need that level of strength to kind of maintain, so you can't really have that target market coming in. And so there could be consequences to everything and shit like that. So
I can see
China
that.
and Russia's got it right, man.
Yeah, I can understand. I think they have a correct idea, which is potentially marketing advertisements and making it very clear that like the army does not care about your background, but where I think that goes too far in the other way, where it's like, we don't care about your background, but you need to conform to the organization because that is what this organization demands. And I feel like on that side, you never really saw any of that. At least with the one ad. There actually is the other one with the it's a black guy who immigrated to the U.S. with his parents, wanted to serve the country, and found great pride in what he was doing in the military. Like that one, I was like, fuck, that's a good one. If you guys just didn't fucking animate it in this weird fucking like Netflix special way, like that would have been a great fucking advertisement.
One fucking job. How do you fuck that up?
Proud, like you felt proud for this guy. You're like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, buy this guy a beer, man.
I just I just linked one. We don't have to watch it, but basically it's like some dudes get on a plane, then they're like some other dudes are like driving across the ocean or something, and then they're flying across the desert or whatever, and then like they're in like a war zone sort of city, in what looks something similar to Iraq, and then it's like Marines, and like I think those are really effective ads. Like those are the ones that I'm like, yeah, that's a good ad.
Well, let's give her a gander.
Sure.
Wait, what is...
It's working.
Okay. I was just on the wrong thing. They're out there, they're doing cool shit, racking guns. They got a female at the fucking back, door gunner, hardcore shit right there. Fucking get some.
The armor. Or the aircraft.
Hitting some hard targets. Let's go.
It's
Those
something
Ospreys. I
more.
remember when the Ospreys were like new as fuck. They're still cool. Hitting a drone.
It's the will to fight. And determination.
Blowing up
to
cool
win,
shit.
found inside each and every Marine.
Fire team doing
Answers
cool fire
a
team shit.
nation's call.
What did you shoot at, sir?
Battles won.
Hold on. That's certainly one critique. If we look at this rooftop, what the fuck did he just shoot 2 rounds into?
Listen. Okay, it's not perfect, but the reason I like it is because it touches a lot of the stuff we talked about. Like it's like the
Yeah, you
determination,
realize-
the will to serve or whatever, to protect your country, like determination, like those
Yeah.
are the things that like we talked about that we think are important, and I like stuff like this. I guess as a civilian, these are the kind of ads for the military that catch my eye the most.
Hell yeah, you saw unity,
I would
you
agree.
saw teamwork, you saw mission readiness, you saw people doing shit that they were, doing hardcore military shit. Like, yeah, I mean that's a great fucking advertisement. You
Well,
know?
and they
I don't
kind
know
of,
who the fuck-
to
I don't know
me,
who the fuck linked the weird stupid lava monster thing, but that's way better.
To me, it
It's,
also does not. It doesn't necessarily glorify it either. It kind of talks about it like, listen, it's not great, but it's about determination. It's about the will to do this. Like, it's about the pride of your country or whatever. Like, it's not talking about like, yeah, war is great, but it's talking about what you need to have to be a strong, proud serviceman or woman.
Well, I mean,
Sure.
what essentially the whole thing was it's not just the planes, it's not just the armament, it's not just the armor, it's not just the tech. What they're getting at is it's the human being behind it,
Right.
and in the military, like it is very true. Like
Yeah.
it is very true. It's like this is a giant human machine that runs on people. And if you're not there, if you're not fucking present, if you're not giving that 110% to the Marines in this advertisement, then don't even fucking show up.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to note that some director that put this commercial together said, "You dress up like a Marine, or if you are a Marine, it doesn't matter. Take 6 steps off the roof of that building, firing off 2 shots into the horizon, and then look back and give some good commands."
Yeah.
Somebody coached him into that shit, and he said, "That sounds cool."
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah.
Actually, the part we'll try and get it right there. Probably an actor. Most of these people probably an actor. Right there, those guys are probably legit.
Determination to win. Found
They're
inside
probably
each
actors. These guys are
and
legit.
Marine.
This guy is
Answers
super not
a
legit.
nation's call.
He's my favorite guy. He does what I wish I could do in my backyard. Negligent discharge off into my fucking neighbors. What the fuck was that? I heard Charlie.
Because the shit's angled down. So I mean, I guess the idea is that there was some terrorist up there that he just
Yeah,
tap
they're
tap,
doing their job. They're
done.
suppressing fire.
Tap tap done. That guy's down. Come on up. It's clear. But then the problem is we then pan out to this immediate wide shot. We don't see a body or anything. It's what the fuck did you just shoot into?
We got the impression.
The guy rounded the corner and went, "Yeah, I'm firing at him, guys. Don't you worry."
We got
I'm
impression
definitely
that there could have been a conflict, maybe a firefight engagement, and then we pan out to see that it was negligent
this is
discharge. Yeah, I see you had your crayons for breakfast.
But overall, aside from the guy firing at nothing, I think
solid.
that this is the kind of video
Solid
that
as fuck.
really gets me as a civilian, and I think that they do a really good job of showing all the different inclusivity without needing to fucking pander too much. You got a black guy, you got a girl, there's probably a gay person or two in there, maybe even a trans person. And you don't need to identify those people. The point is, it's all of these people are here to do this job, regardless of their background.
In fact, if you notice, they never pan on any individual for more than 2 seconds.
Right.
And that's the whole purpose of the military. It's not that guy at the front. It really is. It's the whole thing.
Right.
This movie bleeds red, white, and blue. Okay, I think we can all say that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Although this shot, you were talking about Michael Bay for my favorite fucking Marine video. But this shot is like the most Michael Bay shot I've ever seen.
I was gonna make another Michael Bay
Listen,
reference, but I didn't want to
listen.
kill it.
They're all production value things. We get it, okay?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I think the U.S.
Also,
military should
Bumblebee
absolutely
flips on the
be
back.
going like, yeah, I think the U.S. military should absolutely be like, yeah, let's spend
Autobots,
a sizable
roll out.
portion of our budget to hire Michael Bay to do all of our recruitment. Like, yeah. Fucking, like, if there was ever a thing that Michael Bay was like born to fucking produce, it's army recruitment ads, just like explosions, big fucking jets. Let's fucking go, boys.
How obnoxious!
a Transformer
this
shows
Army
up.
recruiting video.
A Transformer shows up and fist bumps a Marine.
Fucking Optimus Prime comes out. Can you imagine that Optimus Prime comes out to a captain of the Marine Corps? Let's roll out.
Fist bumps in, he jumps in, drives
Explodes
off.
into American
oh my God.
flag.
Dude, I'd be like, sign me back up. Sign me back up.
Oh my god.
I'm quitting today and I'm going to a recruiter. Yeah, I know I'm too old and too fat now, but let's go. Like, let's do this. I'm fist bumping Optimus fucking Prime in the desert. So. Fuck you.
Fucking Optimus Prime just narrates the video. We need you to defend the world. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
yeah.
there.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Instead of
Like,
picking
I'm
up
signing,
people in the
I'd go to a recruiter with my kid and go, my kid's joining. They're like, oh, yeah,
Right.
I'm not.
He likes
And I'd be like,
Transformers.
yeah. Like, let's sign the contract now for like 10 years in the future. But he's signing.
All
We're gonna
right,
do a
so
4-4. No, let's do an 8-2.
so we're at
Yeah.
we're at an hour and 50 minutes. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good. I make terrible drinks still. This has been fucking dumb. This has been a
Still
chore.
nursing that, huh?
I'd like to
It's been a chore.
I'd like to point out, Nigel, and I'm sure that you can attest that the nice thing about me being a pansy drinker is that I make good drinks. If you can remember from high school, they are tasty.
You made drinks that were almost too sweet though.
Yeah. Well,
On
you
the
know,
flip, now my taste would be I would drink a Jakai drink and be like, fuck, I feel my teeth are fuzzy.
in our defense, I would probably have them a little less sweet nowadays because even I'm like, oh no, my teeth can't do this anymore. I'm 30. I'm old. I'm dying soon. So
I'm dying. Jesus Christ.
don't you know that it's all downhill from 30? We're all dead soon.
Yeah, I've got like a decade to go.
Man, I was fucking optimistic. I was feeling like I was still in my prime doing housework, and then
Oh my God, I was setting up my 401k and all this stuff earlier, and we're talking about trying to get my retirement by like 64 or something, and I was like, another 34 years of work. Can we speed this up?
Jesus.
Yeah, where's my remote from that Adam Sandler movie where I can just fucking skip all this shit? Right.
God damn.
Anyway, but no, I have nothing more to say about these advertisements. You know, like I said, I personally think that I can understand the direction the Army is trying to go. I just think they really missed the mark on this. I think something more like this commercial that we just saw is probably significantly better path for all these kind of things.
Oh yeah, that's an understatement.
But that's just me. What about you guys?
I'm right there with you. Like I said, I'm even like I try to like really appreciate inclusivity in these things, but I think that the video that the first one we watched just puts too much emphasis on like anybody can join, and like yes, that is sort of the case, but like it requires a certain level of strength and determination and willpower that not everyone has.
Yeah. Yep.
I think
it's too much on the individual identity, not enough about the like you are a gear in the fucking machine and you need to understand that.
Right.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I'm kind of right there with the whole bullshit.
Okay.
In fact, if anybody watches the full video, which you know they should, the whole video, because there's it's funny. I've seen it before, and I don't know. Actually, really funny take on this. If you want a good laugh, anybody, go ahead and check out. I don't know if you guys happen to know, but the Angry Drill Sergeant. I think it's the Angry Drill Sergeant, or is it Angry
Cop? Yeah.
Yeah. So he covers this recruitment video, which was really great. It was a delicious treat for me because I had seen it, and then it was like a week later he went and commented on it, and dude, it's so crazy. So when you have somebody who wants to make an opinion on a video like that and then has to lead out to say, A, I can't do this, and because I don't know if anybody knows the angry cop. He always rants in his army uniform. It's kind of his shtick. It's fucking hilarious. He had to put out and say, I'm not doing this in uniform because I'm not going to get doxxed for it, because the last guy that criticized anything in the army, he was an officer lieutenant and is currently getting discharged.
Oh wow.
So he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not touching that. Yeah, the army's really taking that.
It wasn't actually in the army. It was in the Space Force.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so he still covers his sense on this video and really criticizes the shit out of it. And he made some pretty funny remarks. But one of the things that I would even say that he pointed out that I even agreed with was so there's the black guy, I can't remember his name, that had basically the most basic of stories in it. And his was the best. His was really good. His was really simple. His was very, very self-motivated. Just basically the base fundamentals of why anybody would join the service, which I thought was really good. And he even commented on it. It was, what's his ding-dong that wanted to be the pilot? And one of the funny comments on Angry Cop that he points out was, and I thought it was funny, I missed it, but he says, it doesn't take a genius to be a helicopter technician or a helicopter pilot. And he goes, yeah, it fucking does.
Yeah. Actually, you need to be really smart for this. Yeah.
That's misleading. That's saying that any idiot could join the service and do that job. And that is not fucking true. And I'm like, yeah, it really is not fucking true.
Yeah, I'll ask that to my brother who was a search and rescue swimmer on helicopters, and it's absolutely like, I don't know. We want those guys to be the fucking premier smart motherfuckers because I don't want to die.
Right.
So, I think
Anyway.
I think it's coming, but whatever. That 'tis the times.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so I think we're all pretty much wrapped up on that. Jakai, you have anything to say? Because me and Matt ran it along a lot in this one.
No, it's okay. I that's why for the early
really
parts
good,
I was
sorry.
really asking questions while you guys talked, because I have a civilian perspective, but I think it's important, but it's less relevant. Like in my opinion,
I think it's
a
actually
service-
more relevant because you get a lot of meatheads that speak all military America and bullshit, and then you have the people that are, at home kind of saying like, yeah, I don't think you guys are seeing what we're seeing, so I wouldn't sell yourself short.
Well, and you're a taxpayer. I mean, you pay for this.
True.
Yeah.
You pay for these things, man. You absolutely have a large opinion.
It's not that I don't think it's important. It's that I think that I don't have the perspective that a serviceman has of how the military should be on the inside. I can talk
Service
on ads.
member, by the way, sir. Service
right, I'm
member,
sorry.
servicemen, you sexist piece of shit.
Listen, unfortunately, I'm one of those people that believes that serviceman is not mean man. It just means person. Because I don't know. Whatever.
So you're saying there isn't police women? Ugh. Two can play this game, Jakaya.
First of all, I don't play that game, so I don't know why you're chucking two can play this game at me. I don't play that game. However,
pronouncing police women now. It's police them.
oh no.
Police
All right.
officer?
All right. With that, we're gonna go ahead and end the stream.
We're just called police.
This is
Good.
Screaming at
All
Walls
right.
with Nigel, Jakai, and Matt. You guys have a wonderful evening, and check us out.